certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. Today we're talking about animal attack movies. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we've got a great panel here. Dan, how are you going?
Good, man. I was glad. You sent me the saying somebody dropped out and you need an extra person. I had already asked you last week on Gone with the Wind. Hey, if you need anybody for animal attack, I wouldn't mind doing it because it's a guilty pleasure. Animal attack movies are kind of like guilty pleasure movies in a way, but there are some really good ones out there. So it'd be interesting to see what you guys all come up with for the show. So if you're sick of me and Malcolm, well, tough luck because you got me and Malcolm again, and we throw in Jordan here for good luck.
Yep. But also you've got Jordan. Jordan, how's it going?
It's going good. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I'm glad that I have Austin Pez as my co-host. He told me all the best animal attack movies to watch because he was going to be on this. And also, Malcolm, I didn't know that you had a stuffed animal of the StreamYard mascot, that little duck. Right? Nice. I'm excited for this, though.
But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And not gonna lie, the first thing I went to was I found that list that Austin sent me for when you did tournament fights on animal attack movies. So I used that as a basis and to catch up on some ones that I didn't actually get around to seeing that show happen. But
just a little heads up, your mic, Malcolm, might seem a little muffled, like maybe you don't have your regular mic turned on or something. Just a heads up.
Yeah, maybe.
He's looking down too.
Oh no, it's more of the case that my camera.
There we are.
Yeah, because that happened on a take 3 once, and I decided not to say something, and then afterwards, like, you should have said something.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, for whatever reason, my StreamYard wants to randomly connect it to my webcam mic and not my actual mic. But yeah,
nice.
But yeah, it's one of those
better,
ones. This is going to be a fun one because, like, I know when it comes to the topic of animal attacks, everyone sort of thinks of just animal attack movies, but everyone forgets, like, when it comes, kaiju movies are technically animal attack movies too, because they're still, even though they're still giant monsters, they're still animals.
Yeah.
In some but regardless,
too,
how the show works is we go.
Insects are animals, just as a double. I just want to let you know.
I
Insects
didn't.
are animals.
Yeah, any figure that comes under the animal family counts. Anyway, how the show works is we're actually going to go around and nominate a movie we think belongs on top 12 list, and then we'll say yes or no, and if it gets a majority of yeses, it will make the list. And yeah, but Dan, we go to you first. What is the first movie you're going to bring up?
Well, I could bring up the most obvious one, and I'm going to let somebody else bring up the most obvious one because it's going to get on the list no matter who brings it up. So I'm not going to say it. I'm not even going to bring it up. I'm going to bring up something else because I want to champion another film, some other films instead of bringing up the most obvious one. One of us is going to bring up the most obvious one, which I'm not going to say until that happens. So I'm going to bring up The Ghost and the Darkness, a period piece set in like the 1800s, where these guys are building a bridge. And it stars Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas in Africa, and they're building these bridges to get around Africa and stuff. And one by one, these people keep getting attacked. And apparently they're getting attacked by lions in Africa. This movie came out in the mid 90s, I think 96 or 90, something like that. Fantastic movie. I know Beast came out last August. and you had the CGI lion and all that stuff. This is really, I mean, just has two major stars, and I know that Beast had Idris Elba, but I just freaking love this movie. When I saw this movie as like a early adult, like 2021 in there somewhere, I was like, man, what the heck is this? You have two major stars like Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas. So I'm bringing up The Ghost and the Darkness.
Jordan, what do you say about The Ghost and the Darkness?
Well, I will say that I haven't seen it, so it'll be hard for me to vote for it. Yeah, I probably, just because of that, I'll have to say no. It's just one of my few blind spots, so sorry.
Yeah, occasionally, like, I will say yes to a movie I haven't seen, but unfortunately, this is not one of them. It's one I've kind of read about. It's just wasn't one that was high on my must-watch list to get around to for this. It's just,
you're missing out. You're missing out.
I mean, I like Val Kilmer. There's just others that were higher up on my sort of priority list to try and catch before this. But for that, Jordan, what was the first movie you're going to bring up?
So, I'm going to go with a movie that, well, actually, I should say that I'm going to start a little different than how I normally start. Usually, I go for the heavy hitters first, maybe sprinkling in a couple guilty pleasures. But I'm going to start with a couple guilty pleasures and just see what you guys say. So I want to go with a movie that I watched for the first time for this, and you know what? I had fun with it. It's definitely kind of like, if you watch the trailer for it, it describes it perfectly. But the movie's called Roar. It's from 1981, and in the trailer it describes it as a Disney movie meets some kind of psychopathic horror movie. Like it's just so like it's fun. It's nice. They're out in Africa around the savannah, and then they get mauled by all these crazy lions. And it has Melanie Griffith. It's got Tippi Hedren in it, and a unique part of it is that people were actually harmed. That they had about 40 people that sustained injuries from these lions in real life, not just in the movie, in real life. And in the trailer, the trailer is one of the most fun trailers because it describes all the real injuries. Say like Tippi Hedren, broken arm, Melanie Griffith, facial reconstructive surgery, John Marshall, broken leg, like all these different injuries. So so it's a fun one. I don't know if you guys have even seen it, but Roar, if it's from 1981.
I also watched Roar for this hit episode, and it's one that I didn't really like that much. I thought it was fine. It just was, to me, just really boring. And to be honest, I kind of stopped it halfway through, because I wasn't enjoying it as much as and knowing the fact that a lot of these animal attacks, people were really injured, it just made me feel weird about actually watching it happen. So it's going to be a no for me. But Dan, what do you say about Roar?
And I never saw this movie, so I've seen a lot of movies in my time. Never heard of this movie, never saw this movie, so I can't say anything about it.
No.
Fortunately, Roar doesn't make the list, but it goes on to me. And I'm going to start with one of my guilty pleasures, because why not? But I'm bringing up Snakes on a Plane. Look, this is just a really fun movie. Like, you've got Samuel L. Jackson, you've got Kenan Thompson, you've got a big cast, actually really stacked cast when you think about it. But it's just a lot of fun, and it's one of those ones yes, it's real. At times, the attacks are really campy, but with animal attack movies, it's what you really want. You want a lot of fun ways of animal attacks, and I think Snakes on a Plane really captures it. And I think the story also is just very intriguing at the same time. And I think it's just one of those ones that really makes you think about flying and snakes. It was I'm not gonna lie. The first time I ever watched this, I kind of half expect they're going to find a way to get a cameo from Harrison Ford, and they're just saying snakes. Would it have to be snakes? But
Yeah, right.
Dan, what are your thoughts about snakes on a plane?
Yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I love Samuel L. Jackson, and you put snakes and Samuel L. Jackson in a plane together, and I mean, you got magic. And I don't think anybody could have predicted that this movie, the marketing campaign leading up to this is really, really good. And you get some of Samuel L. Jackson's famous lines that he he's used to saying in movies and stuff like that. And I'll go for it. I think this is a movie that I think a lot of people do know and do enjoy. And, if you go in trying to think of some kind of like serious kind of cinema, you're mistaken what this is, and so I'm going to say yes for Snakes on a Plane. And
Jordan, what do you say about Snakes on a Plane?
I say, get these mother snakes off my mother effing plane. I think Snakes on a Plane is a lot of fun, and it was one of those ones that I wasn't gonna bring up, but I have a little handful here. I made a little list that if somebody else brings it up, I will say yes, because I have a lot smaller list than other topics that we've had before. So I'm willing to kind of say yes to some of these. So I'll actually say yes to Snakes on a Plane. I think that's a fun time. It's a fun cast, and you got to go in with the right mindset where the kind of like Dan was saying, you just got to go in with just a fun. You're just into just turn your brain off and just have a fun time with these animals going haywire on a plane, and you're not looking for any kind of serious drama here. You're just going to laugh and have a good time. So yeah, Snakes on a Plane.
And if that Snakes on a Plane is going to be the first one that makes the list, Dan, we go back to you for your next nomination.
Well, I'm hoping somebody saw this one. Another one that I just absolutely love. I'm a big sports fan, so the Florida Gators, I follow their basketball team, and they're only an hour and a half away from me, geographically, where I live here in Florida. And I also deal with hurricanes a lot in Florida. And so you mash up Gators and a hurricane and saving the life of Barry Pepper, which I love Barry Pepper. He was in Saving Private Ryan and a bunch of other stuff. You got to say Crawl. I mean, I freaking loved Crawl. I think it's AJ Aja or was the director or whatever. Fantastic movie. And this is filmed. They actually built this whole street and the house and the whole thing because in Florida, we actually don't have cellars. So they had to build this up to where they could put the water and then the CGI alligators and stuff in there and make it really a dramatic thing. Even though it's kind of filmed over in Tampa, Florida, it's actually filmed in Australia. They actually did all this in Australia. So it's kind of neat how the magic of movies, they made it look like Florida and they made it seem like Florida, but it wasn't actually Florida. It was Australia. So I got Crawl.
I mean, if they can make my city in New Zealand look like an American Old West for Power of the Dog, then anything's possible. But Jordan, what do you say about Crawl?
Well, yeah, they do that all the time. For the movie Chronicle, they made a whole Seattle, a city in South Africa, and made it look like Seattle. So they do that a lot, but for movies. But for Crawl, this one's kind of interesting. This one's borderline. I really wanted to love this movie, and I think maybe I went in with too high of expectations when I went in, because I just found myself bored. I kind of thought that the acting wasn't that good. It had really good set pieces, and how the alligator looked was cool, but overall I just kind of found myself looking bored. And there's another alligator movie actually that I might bring up a little later. So I think for right now I might say no.
Yeah, I mean, but this is another one that I actually watched for this because I figured it might have come up because I've heard a lot about it, and it's Alexander Aja that was the director.
That's it.
But yeah, it's one of those ones that I also really wasn't much into the movie. I like the actual gator attacks like were fine. I think it's one of those ones. I think if they were real alligators, like maybe like trained in that, maybe it would have been a little bit more effective. But the fact that because I didn't realize they were CGI, that just the attack, like the gator, just it didn't feel like natural and all that. But that being said, I did say to myself that if it ends up in my personal top 20 that I've made for this, I'm still going to say yes to it. And Quill just managed to make it into my top 20. Like, I do like, while I do think like as an animal attack movie, I thought it was kind of boring on that front. I still thought it was an interesting enough storyline. But yeah, so Quill is going to make this list. And Jordan, we go back to you.
Yeah, so I started out with the guilty pleasure in the movie. Oh, and also I do want to say I'm not mad about making the list. It is borderline for me, so I'm okay with that. But I want to bring up one more guilty pleasure movie, where it's a movie kind of about all animals just kind of going haywire one day. They just kind of just go nuts and they just start attacking people. I'm hoping you guys have seen it because I'm a big fan of the lead actor. I want to talk about Day of the Animals, and I want to talk about this movie because of Leslie Nielsen. He's the star, and the funny thing is, the first time I ever saw this, they did a riff tracks on it, and they just had the guys just making some commentary, kind of like kind of making fun of them the movie, but like. I actually think that it's kind of cheesy fun. It's one of those movies that's not like so bad it's good, and it's kind of back when Leslie Nielsen, was trying to be a little more serious of an actor. But the movie is a fun time because you get to see all different types of animals, not just focused on one animal going crazy. So yeah, I'll go with Day of the Animals.
Yeah, this is one that I did watch for this. Like, this is another one that because what I was doing is I was going through when Austin and JPO did their top 10 animal attack movies last week. I was just going through them. I was like, I'm going to watch anything that they met. This is one of them, and yeah. I struggled to actually find the proper one because I did find the riff tracks one. Was like I really wasn't interested in wanting to watch the riff tracks version of this just because, well, I want to experience the actual movie first. And yeah, this is a lot of fun. And like it, Leslie Nielsen is known as for his comedy. He's like he's a dick in this.
Yeah, he is
like,
kind of.
And it's one of those ones that's it's interesting.
I'll be right back in 2
it's going to be a really slight yes for me, though. But yeah, but Dan, what do you say about Day of the Animals?
Yeah, I had this on my list, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know where you guys found it to watch. I did get recommended. Somebody recommended this to me, but I never had a chance to watch it. So I can't really say if I would put it on or if I would put it off because I haven't seen it. So unfortunately for me, I have to say no because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, for me, I found it on a free streaming service called Plex.
Oh, okay. I'll have to remember that in the future.
But yeah, but with that, Day of the Animals does make this list, and we go. It's back to me.
Right.
And on. I'm going to go for this one, get it out the way because I know for sure it's going to come up at some stage. But yeah, I don't know how this is going to go because I know on how Dan feels about certain things. But I'm going to bring up Jurassic Park because dinosaurs are ancient animals. They're still animals. They were recreated in this movie. And it's just one of those ones like, it's still a really good animal attack movie, and I think it's the one that I think everyone still sort of says is the best in the franchise. Which is, even though I like all the movies, I can still. This is one of those ones that I'll always go back to regardless. So I'm curious to see how this goes. Dan, what do you say about Jurassic Park?
Look, I will tell you this. I absolutely love Jurassic Park. I love the monster aspect of Jurassic Park, of dinosaurs attacking humans and humans running away, and then breaking ground of some of the best CGI of all time at the time, making the dinosaurs look absolutely real. The music of John Williams, the cast. I don't consider dinosaurs animals. And so I have to say no to Jurassic Park. I love this movie, though. There's no doubt whatsoever that I absolutely love this movie. And I want that to be known that I freaking love this movie. But I don't consider dinosaurs as animals. And so for that reason, I have to say no.
Jordan, what do you say about Jurassic Park?
Well, I think dinosaurs are absolutely animals. I mean, if they're not animals, then what are they? I mean, are they monsters? Are they what?
That's what I think.
In my mind, I think
they're monsters.
Well, in my mind, I think that they're more like giant reptiles in there, and or even birds, like they say in the movie that they're even closer related to birds than reptiles, and they have a lot of similar bone structure, characteristics, and yeah, Jurassic Park's number one on my list. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. In my all-time movies, it's in my top 5 of movies ever made. Like, I'm a huge diehard Jurassic Park fan. I'm a fan of the entire series. Maybe not as much Fallen Kingdom. That's where I put the lowest. I wasn't huge on that one, but the rest of them I will defend. And yeah, like, I think that it's great, and it's got some of the best kills from animals, which I do consider them animals. And so yeah, for that reason, I'm going to say yes to Jurassic Park.
That Jurassic Park does make this list. And just to counter Dan's point, it's widely known that dinosaurs are direct descendants from chickens, so they are still animals in that aspect. They are descendants. But Dan, we go back to you for your next nomination.
No disagreement there, Malcolm. No disagreement there. I absolutely agree. My next pick is a movie I watched for this because I wanted to make sure I had watched it. Obviously the reason why we're doing animal attack movies is because of Cocaine Bear. Am I right, Malcolm, on that?
Yeah.
So why not have a movie about a bear attack? And one I've never seen, but I always wanted to see because friends of mine had recommended it to me, and that's called The Edge, where Anthony Hopkins, Alec Baldwin, Elle Macpherson, and some other people go to this cabin in the northwest or whatever of the country, and they're doing a fashion shoot, a film shoot, and they end up flying a plane to this area, and because they're looking for this one guy. And the plane crashes, and the guys have to fend for themselves in the wilderness and the mountains and the rivers, and they're being attacked by this giant coyote, not a coyote, but a Kodiak bear, big bear. I mean, big bear. This thing is huge, and I really was really invested in the characters in the movie, and there's other motivations with some of the characters and so forth. Plus the cinematography, wow, gorgeous movie. And the mountains of the Midwest or Canada or wherever they filmed this looked gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So, yeah, I watched this movie specifically for this, and it's called The Edge. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm putting up The Edge.
Jordan, what do you say about The Edge?
Man, I knew that there's a movie that I meant to watch for this, and I totally forgot. So I was making this list, and I was like, "There's some movie that like I should watch. I can't think of what it is." And I think it was probably The Edge, because yeah, that movie, I haven't seen it, and it's one that I would have liked to see, but I just never got around to it. And usually, I mean, it's very rare that I can say yes to a movie I haven't seen. Only if it's like one that's like I'm like, I have it queued up ready to watch soon or something like that. Like, I'm really excited about it. And so for that reason, I probably just have to say no, just for lack of seeing it.
Yeah, no, I have seen this. The Edge is a really interesting biopic about the member of U2.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I've seen that one.
But I'm not going to lie. This is one movie I really hope they remake, and they get Adam Copeland from WWE, who plays the wrestler Edge, and then they get the Edge from U2 and as the two leads in this. It'll be really meta casting.
Mhm.
But anyway, I have seen this. I mean, this is one I really do like. It's definitely interesting. So I'm going to give it a slight yes. And with that, the Edge makes the list, and we go back to Jordan for the next nomination.
All right. Well, I already got a couple of the guilty pleasures out of the way, so it's kind of time to be a little more serious. I mean, I don't know how much serious you can be about animal attack movies, but because they're all kind of guilty pleasures in the end. I mean, most of them. And there's a couple of ways I could go with this because there's certain movies I want to say, but not quite yet. So I'm gonna go with one that I really like. I think it's my favorite of this type of movie. So I'm gonna go with Kong Skull Island. So I think that Kong Skull Island rules. Like this movie, it is so great. It has a great cast, especially John C. Reilly. I think he's really bringing as the guy because it's like been living on this island, and then like Tom Hiddleston and Samuel Jackson and a bunch of those other guys that you have in the cast, and then also some of the kills too. You got giant insects on. You have someone getting impaled right down the throat, and the movie to me has a lot of vibes of like Apocalypse Now as far as the way that it's shot. Like it is really beautifully shot, and I think that's a great movie. So I'll say Kong Skull Island.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to King Kong movies, Kong Skull Island is definitely not anywhere near my favorite. Like I'm not a fan of this. I think there's a different one that's better that I'll probably bring up later, but yeah, it's going to be a no for me for Kong Skull Island. Dan, what do you say about Kong Skull Island?
Yeah, actually, for a lot of the reasons that Jordan said, I absolutely love this movie. I love the 70s vibe because I'm a big 70s guy. The cinematography, the whole Apocalypse Now vibe of the 70s, and the clothes and the whole, Vietnam War aspects of this movie. And like Jordan said, there are giant spiders, giant like cantaloupe, obviously some weird creatures that Kong fights in there. But of all the Kong movies, this is my favorite one of the new modern movies like Godzilla versus Kong, Kong Skull Island, and all that, because I just love the 70s, and the 70s and that whole aspect of films is my jam. So if I had to say yes to one of the kaiju movies, I think I would say yes to this one.
Yeah.
And that Kong Skull Island does make the list. But moving on to me, but that I'm going to go into my next one, and I'm going to go and bring up an animal that lives in the water, and it is going to be a movie that I actually watched for the first time just before this, and that's Lake Placid. I could tell Dan thought I was going somewhere else with that. I was messing with one of the comments that just mentioned as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed Lake Placid, and I think it's a really fun. It's really fun, and it's actually really fun. Like Betty Wright in this movie is just really hilarious. Like, it's like, oh yeah, no, I killed my husband. Like, just the whole like natural things, like especially when they're using a helicopter to carry the cow out. It's like, you don't take the cow out. That's what happens. Like, but yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And just the way they it only ended up how they captured the alligator is like just a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm bringing up Lake Placid, but Dan, what are your thoughts about Lake Placid?
Look, everybody I talked to, I talked to 2 or 3 different people, and they all said you got to put Lake Placid on the list. You got to put Lake Placid on the list. My problem is I like Crawl better, and I actually like another alligator movie better than Lake Placid. I know there's the comedy aspect of Betty White and feeding this giant alligator with cows and all this stuff. I'm just not a fan of Lake Placid, and for that reason, I'm going to say no. But I'm sure, almost guaranteed, Jordan Anderson is going to put Lake Placid on the list, so I don't feel that bad.
Jordan, what do you say about Lake Placid?
Yeah, I think Lake Placid is a lot of fun. It's a movie that I was a little late to. Yeah, I'm like 2 years ago for and yeah, Betty White is just so funny. Like her just making quips about her husband, and then or like even people just like accusing her, like ma'am, any chance you didn't lead your husband to the lake blindfolded, did you? Or like just things like that, or her saying that like, I'm rooting for the crocodile. I hope he swallows your friends whole. But yeah, and I think that it's a fun cast. I mean, Bill Pullman in there, Bridget Fonda, Oliver Platt, and also Oliver Platt going back and forth with Brendan Gleeson too. I kind of like their kind of back and forth too. And yeah, I think that it's fun, and it's one of those that's right on the borderline of like a yes and a no. So for that, it's close enough. So I'll say yes.
That Lake Placid does make this list. But Jordan, but no, Dan, we go to you for your next nomination.
Yeah, we've got a lot of different types of movies on this list, and I got a couple of my under the radar ones on the list that I was glad to see get on the list. I wish The Ghost in the Darkness had gotten on the list, but I don't want to mess around any further. So I'm going to say the most obvious pick in that is Jaws. It's an absolute masterpiece. Steven Spielberg, Richard Dreyfuss, Roy Scheider, Amity Island. I'm from New England. That part is like they filmed it in Rhode Island, and it's just the score by John Williams. Dun 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 dun. I mean, just those scenes. I mean, anybody that has seen Jaws, they just freaking love this movie. And the new Universal, they have a new. Well, it came out like last year, maybe. I'll tell you what, the 4K is amazing of this. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and I definitely recommend seeing this in 4K if you haven't already. But yeah, I was barely alive when this came out, but when I had a chance to see it, I just freaking just love this thing. I ate it up, no pun intended. So yeah, I don't want to mess around. I want to make sure we get Jaws on the list. So my pick is Jaws.
Jordan, what do you say about Jaws?
Yeah. So Jaws is one of those movies. When I first saw it, I wasn't that big on it. I was kind of like I don't get all the hype with this movie. I was kind of like it's okay, but it's not that great. It's one of those movies though. The more and more that I watch, because I have rewatched it several times, like it just keeps getting better and better with every watch. And especially Quint, like he's my favorite character. Robert Shaw, whereas I don't want no volunteers. I don't want no mates. There's just too many captains on this island. $10,000 for me by myself, and he wants to go out and just like take this thing on by himself. But then he realizes like he needs some help. He can't do it on his own as much as he wants to. But and then throwing Richard Dreyfuss and Roy Scheider, like they're great too. And yeah, I mean the movie's really good actually. Like I don't think I could ever say Jaws is bad. I just didn't find the love that like everyone else did on my first watch, but it's getting better and better. Maybe one day I will if I rewatch it enough times. But I will say yes, because I think Jaws deserves a spot. I actually like Poker Gambit's comment in the chat. It's like, let's not beat around the bush here, and let's just put Jaws in there nice and quick. So yeah, we'll put it on there. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've rewatched Jaws a few times. I still don't really get the hype for it. The shark still looks fake.
Yeah.
And
Well, part of it, let me explain something to you, Malcolm. Part of it is that exact reason what you're saying. The shark looks fake, and the shark, Bruce, I might add, didn't work properly. So what they did, what Spielberg did, he gave the illusion of this shark being there and the illusion of these attacks. And then the music by John Williams, you add it all up, and it's a really scary movie. And it coined the phrase blockbuster. People were lined up around the block to see this movie for months and months and months. And that's why we have summer blockbusters now, Malcolm. So I'm I know you know about movies and stuff. I figured I'd just add that in there real quick, just to maybe give you a little bit of context.
I mean, I just didn't find Jaws that scary. I really didn't. I mean,
Some people are still afraid to go in the water, but not everyone.
But that was probably mostly because of the piranha. But yeah, I still like Jaws enough. It still ended up in my top 20, so I'm still going to say yes to it. I mean, it was going to make the list regardless of if I said yes or no to it, but yeah. But Jordan, we go to you for your next nomination.
Yeah, will you see me popping in and out of camera once in a while? I'm eating some brisket. I got to eat my dinner because I got another show after this. And when I find some gristle, I don't think you want to see me pulling gristle out of my mouth on camera. So there's that. That's just why. But yeah, for my next one, I'll go at the time really freaked me out. I mean, not so much now, but I mean, I still go back all the time, and I have. But I want to go with I think this movie is awesome. That my favorite character is probably John Goodman as the exterminator guy, just going in there like wrecking shop on these spiders, and yeah, and then especially that big spider kind of near the end really freaks me out, and I'm not really that afraid of spiders. I mean, I get a little kind of iffy when I see a huge spider. I mean, like when I first moved into the house that I live in now, we've actually, well, me personally, I've only seen one spider in my house since I've lived here. They've done a lot of things to homes to like protect you from insects. They put things in the paint. We have these little kind of sensor things that'll send out some kind of sonic like waves in the air that kind of deters like insects and stuff. But we did find a huge black widow in our garage that was about, I don't know, like 5 or 6 inches long. And I'm sure like over in New Zealand, like that's probably nothing to you, Malcolm. I'm sure you guys get huge spiders and that kind of thing out there. I would imagine. I don't know, but still, yeah, I gotta go with Arachnophobia though. I think it's great.
It's more Australia has the big spiders.
Okay.
and I can't believe you found a huge Scarlett Johansson in your house and you didn't.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, if it was Scarlett Johansson, I would have kept her. So yeah.
But anyway, Arachnophobia is one that I finally got around to watching for the first time for this, and I thought it was entertaining. It was fun, like talking about animals really looking fake. Like, the spiders really did look fake. It's one of those was like, I know it's getting a remake, and I hope they can make some. They can with CGI, however they do it, they can definitely come up with some better looking spiders. That's for sure. But once again, like I liked Arachnophobia enough. I'm still going to go yes. Dan, what are your thoughts on Arachnophobia?
Yeah, I am not a big fan of spiders in general. Shelob from The Lord of the Rings, Aragog from Harry Potter, big spiders, big insects, creepy crawly critters, alien. That is the stuff. Like guys with knives and chainsaws and hands with blades. That stuff doesn't scare me. What scares me is creepy crawly critters like this. Giant spiders scare the hell out of me. And I'll tell you right now, arachnophobia is one of the scariest things I've ever watched in my lifetime. Whether Malcolm says they look fake or not, they look scary to me. And I was going to bring up arachnophobia, so I'm glad Jordan did. So I would have said yes.
But arachnophobia still does make the list. It's on me to bring up. So I'm going to bring up this one just because I'm not too sure if it's going to come up, but I think it belongs on this list for sure. I'm going back to a really classic one, and talking about Tippi Hedren earlier. I'm bringing up The Birds. Look, this is one of those classic ones. As far as I know, I think this might have been the first full-on animal tech movie that was ever done. I don't know if there's anything earlier than that or what, but The Birds is just one of those ones that using seagulls makes sense, because if you've ever had a seagull dive bomb you while you're trying to eat food, it's scary shit. I know it's not as bad as it was in the movie The Birds, where they're just attacking you for no reason, but seagulls are just one of those annoying creatures. They're just really really vicious in a way, and this movie really makes you really think twice about them. But I think this was a really fun animal attack movie. I think for the very classic movies, I think this one deserves to be here. But Dan, what do you say about The Birds?
Yeah, I'm a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan, and one of my favorite movies from Alfred Hitchcock is The Birds. Yeah, sometimes the birds don't look real, but what he did was he put various birds on. I think it was a Janet Leigh, Malcolm.
Yeah.
And the way he did it, he kind of had her kind of reacting to stuff that was on her body that he had attached to her and stuff, and then he really got her to be afraid of the birds. And it wasn't just seagulls, it was all kinds of different birds that were on that island, and or that section of California, and what's his name, the guy that did he did Midsommar and
Ari Aster.
Ari Aster's supposed to be doing a remake of The Birds. It's not going to be his next movie because his next movie is coming out this summer, but he's supposed to do a remake of The Birds.
Was Ari Aster? I'm down. Yeah.
So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, I mean, Malcolm, that was going to be my next pick. I was going to bring up The Birds, so I'm glad you brought it up. So then I didn't have to. So definitely, it's a yes for me.
But and Jordan, what do you say about The Birds?
Yeah, I'm just consulting my list, and for some reason, I don't know if The Birds on my list, but I know I meant to have it on there. I think maybe I thought about it, and like that definitely deserves to be on there, and I just didn't write it down for whatever reason, because I think it deserves to be on here. I think The Birds is classic, and yeah, I'm a big Alfred Hitchcock fan too. I still haven't seen every single one of his movies. I eventually plan to, but The Birds is great, and especially that shot when she's in the phone booth and the birds are just dive bombing the phone booth, and you're right, Malcolm. Like, the seagulls are scary as shit if they tried to dive bomb you like that, because for whatever reason my high school I went to, and it's probably just because you would have high school kids at lunch and they just drop food on the ground or drop stuff out of their car. We'd have seagulls all over the place, and they would just dive at your car, all this stuff, and they weren't really afraid of humans. It's kind of weird, but yeah, and they're annoying. They're kind of like the trash birds. You see them around trash dumps and things like that. So, but in this movie though, it was all birds, and to just think about all birds going crazy is kind of like a little bit of a scary thought. So yeah, I'll say yes to The Birds.
Right, that Birds. So I'm going to address some comments here. Well, I did bring this up in the chat. I wasn't going to bring up any werewolf movies because we'd already done an episode on werewolf movies a few weeks ago anyway. But you can make the argument that they are, but we're not going to bring them up. And yeah, Alien Predator are not animals; they're aliens, and so yeah.
Yeah.
But Dan, we go back to you. What is your next nomination?
Well, I'm gonna do the next best things to werewolves, and I'm gonna bring up a movie where you have actual wolf attacks, and these people get stranded in the woods once again, and of course, you know, you got not werewolves. Now you got me saying werewolves. You got wolves attacking these people in the Great White North, and who do you want to fend off a bunch of wolves? How about Liam Neeson? You know, Liam Neeson is the man. He's fighting off people kidnapping his daughter and taking and all these other type of people. Why not wolves? So, I really enjoyed this movie, and it's called The Gray. The Gray, and it's Liam Neeson fighting off a bunch of wolves. So I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's really good.
Yeah, Jordan, what do you say about The Gray?
Well, let's see how many movies we have. 10 now, so we only have 2 spots left, and for me, there's a lot of other movies I want to champion way before this one. The Gray is a movie that kind of like, I don't know, like I feel like I was kind of tricked, like when I saw the trailer, because like there's not so much of him fighting wolves or defending in the movie. Like it's more of just like a survival, them surviving in the woods. I mean, yes, it does have wolves, and especially like near the end, and the trailer even kind of shows like one of the end scenes in the movie. I hate when trailers do that, and yeah, like I just really wasn't loving it as much as I thought. I came out pretty disappointed in this one, so I probably got to say no to The Gray.
Yeah. This is one that I said I was bound to come up, so I should really watch it. I never did. I didn't get the time to watch it. From what I've heard about it, though, the actual animal attack doesn't happen until near the end. I don't know how accurate that statement is. That's something that other people sort of said about this. But yeah, unfortunately, I haven't seen it. I've not seen enough of it to be intrigued by wanting to see it. But yes, unfortunately, The Gray doesn't make this list. Jordan, we go back to you for your next nomination.
Okay, let me see here. Consult the old list. Well, we've kind of talked a little bit about it, sort of. Like we also there's another movie involving an alligator that might deserve a spot on this animal called alligator. So this is one that man, I am so glad that I saw this movie. Is a recommendation from my co-host Austin back when we did best animal attack movies. I can't remember when it was, like 3 to 4 months ago, something like that, or even more.
I think it was around the time of Dominion.
Okay. Yeah, we did that. So maybe last year, but yeah, this movie is fun, and Robert Forster, man, I freaking miss Robert Forster. Like he is a great actor, and this he's like they keep telling him to leave the alligator alone. They find these giant alligators that end up being in the sewers, and they're starting to come out of the sewers to attack people, and Robert Forster just wants to investigate, and like he goes so far that he gets fired. Spoiler alert, but he does get fired from his job, and he still is going after these alligators because he's a police officer, and so yeah, and then I like the female in it too. I don't know her so much. Her name is Robert Riker, but I think that it's a lot of fun, and I think that the alligators actually look pretty decent for a movie from the mid '80s, and so yeah, I am going to nominate Alligator.
Yeah. I haven't seen this. I just this is another one that I kind of was intrigued to see that I just didn't have time to get around to it. And I believe Kane Hodder's in this as well. It's uncredited though, but I think he's uncredited in this movie as well. But sadly, I'm just going to say no. Dan, what do you say about Alligator?
I actually own this on 4K. There's a 4K of Alligator, and I own it. And I'll tell you what, I love this movie. I'd never seen it before I bought the 4K. And you're right, Robert Forster is fantastic in the movie. And in behind the scenes, he was a production assistant. And if you do get the 4K of Alligator, there's a half hour to an hour interview with Bryan Cranston, who was a production assistant on this movie. That was his break-in to Hollywood. And that's worth buying the Alligator 4K just to get that. But the mutated, they put something down in the thing, and the alligators mutate. They eat the mutated whatever, and then it becomes a mutated alligator. But we already have Lake Placid, and we already have Crawl on the list. If we didn't have Lake Placid on the list, I would say, sure, I would definitely put Alligator on the list. But we already have 2 alligator movies on the list. I mean, how many alligator attack movies are you going to have on a list of animal attack movies? Let's try to get some other types of animals attacks on here. And for that reason, even though I love the movie and I think it was fantastic, I'm glad you brought it up, Jordan. I'm going to say no to Alligator.
But,
can I say no to Kong
I
Skull
wish I would have
Island?
brought it up sooner.
Can I back out of Kong Skull Island now?
It's too late for that now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I like Alligator better than both the other alligator movies we have on that list, and I maybe should have brought it up sooner, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of these ones like it's why I haven't brought up Black Sheep, and I'm still not going to bring it up because I don't think anyone's seen it. And 2, it's just too late to try for
I'll just tell you that right now. No.
But that being said, moving on to me, I'm going to try for this and see how this goes, but I'm going to go for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's the first of the Matt Reeves trilogy. And, it's one of those ones that that it kind of made me sort of get interested in actually wanting to see the classic Planet of the Apes movies, ironically. But this is one of those ones that, and I think Dawn is probably the really good one of this, in which these apes just start attacking and been experimented on in the lab, and just then eventually they start getting more aware as time goes on, and they start sort of trying to take over and then start attacking people. Whether or not this gets on, I don't know, but I just want to talk about it because I really love it. And I think this is the one with Gary I think Dawn's the one with Gary Oldman, I think.
But you want Dawn? You don't want Rise?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Dawn is my favorite of the trilogy.
Well, it's a great movie. There's no doubt about it, Malcolm. No,
Yeah.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is great.
Yeah.
But Dan, what are your thoughts about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes?
I mean, I'm right with you, Malcolm. This whole trilogy is fantastic. I love this trilogy. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, though, is Caesar's an intelligent ape, and the apes are intelligent. They evolved, and they're intelligent, and they're talking. Some of them are and stuff. And so this, to me, I don't consider it an animal attack movie. I would, if you said Rise of the Planet of the Apes, that to me is more of an animal attack movie. You know, Caesar gets injected with the serum, and he becomes smart. And then you have Coda, I think was the other ape was Coda or whatever his name is. But I love this entire trilogy. I mean, I freaking love this trilogy, Malcolm. There's no doubt about it. These movies are fantastic movies, but I don't consider them animal attack movies. The closest is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And for that reason, I have to say no.
But Jordan, what do you say about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes?
Well, this is kind of interesting because now I can say this that like Rise of the Planet of the Apes is my favorite of the and think of that one as more of an animal attack movie versus Dawn. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say no to this one, but if anyone brings up Rise, I'll say yes. So bring up Rise. So, yeah.
But with that, Dan, we go back to you. What is your next nomination?
Well, I'll tell you what. One of my favorite horror people in the history of horror is Stephen King, and he's done Killer Cars and all kinds of different types of horror movies. But one of the ones that is like you say to yourself, how did he turn this into a killer animal? And for whatever reason, he turns a Saint Bernard into a killer animal in an animal attack film, and that is Cujo. It's one of the classic Stephen King novels, and I know it's a Saint Bernard. You think of all the dogs he could choose. I guess he wanted kind of a passive dog that nobody would be threatened by, but then it would get rabies or whatever, and then it would just turn into an attack animal or whatever. But it works. It works for this movie, and it works in general. And so, I mean, I think you're going to have a list of the best animal attack movies. You got to have Cujo on the list.
But Jordan, what do you say about Cujo?
Jordan's frozen. He looks frozen to me.
Yep. Jordan, if you can hear me, you're frozen. But
Up there he is. You back? You back, Jordan?
But
Hello, I'm here.
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay, so, sounds good. Yeah, when I open up too many tabs in the background, my internet goes haywire. I need to not do that. But yeah, I think it was great. Like I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of Stephen King movies, and I really like Dee Wallace in it too. I think she's great in it, and yeah, this movie makes me freaked out about Saint Bernard even to this day, because I saw Cujo before I saw movies like Beethoven or like other ones with the Saint Bernard in it, and yeah, this movie just always gives me the creeps, because it's like I love all dogs, but it's like, what if they snap? Rabies is a real thing, like that is real, and it can happen to
rabies. I had a dog when I was a kid
yeah.
that got rabies. Yeah, a German Shepherd that had gotten.
Oh
rabies,
man,
you don't want.
That's sad, because if a dog gets rabies, I think still to this day, like they don't have a cure for it, so you just got to put it.
Yep.
Just put them down.
Put it down, and it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs.
But for this one, I think that it was done really, really well, and it's one that's kind of borderline just compared to what I have on my list. But I will say that in my top 10, I have multiple Jurassic Park movies, and I know we ain't getting any more Jurassic Park movies in because I just love all of them. But so I'll say yes to Cujo. So,
yeah, and I think it's one of those things, because I think one thing with a lot of these animal attack movies is a lot of people really like to subvert the expectations and make any animal potential to be like a killer. Because, like, I mean, if you were to say to anyone that that someone was murdered by a sheep, you wouldn't believe them in the likelihood. But
yeah, right.
But I think it's one of the terms. I think with Stephen King, I think he likes to subvert the impossible. Is like, and so I think using a dog which is mostly known for being friendly, like Saint Bernard, and then just flipping it on its head is definitely one that is interesting. I actually just watched this for the first time, sort of moments before we went live, and yeah, while I enjoyed it to a point. It's one of those ones, like, I thought it was a little bit on the boring side, but I still like the movie for what it was. So I'm going to give it yes to Cujo. And if that Cujo does make the list, and we go to Jordan next. And
frozen again.
Jordan is frozen again, yes.
Guess that's you, Malcolm. It's your turn since he's frozen.
Yeah, I'll probably
So-
will.
I'm not anything. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh,
But
he's
Watching-
back.
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, Jordan, bring up your what next pick?
Yeah, so this time I'm actually not messing with the tabs. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Like my internet goes in and out. Sometimes I have great internet. Sometimes it just doesn't want to work. But anyways, yeah. So I'm debating. There's two movies left that well honestly three that like I think would really deserve a spot. I'm gonna try for one just because it's a movie that I saw when I was way too young to see it, and I remember that I walked in when my parents were watching it, and then I just sat there and just watched the rest of it, and they actually let me watch it. And I'm a big Michael Crichton fan. I grew up reading all of his books, so I want to go with the movie Congo. So this movie really freaked me out when I was younger. Not so much now, but I thought it was great. You got Tim Curry in there, Laura Linney, you got Ernie Hudson, you got Joe Don Baker in there, and I think the movie is just a great story that they just go they go into the a jungle, and I think what they're looking for is diamonds. I think, and they're also I think one of the guy's sons goes missing too, and they're trying to find out what happened to him also, and then they get attacked by some killer gorillas, and it just goes really crazy after that. And some of the kills are very brutal in this thing, and they're actually animals. They're not like in Planet of the Apes where they're evolved kind of smarter animals. They're actually just gorillas here, and yeah, like also my list. A lot of the movies that I have left are like the same animals. I've got multiple alligator ones, multiple monkey ones. I've got a few dinosaur ones, and a few shark ones. So like a lot of the same animal attack. But we'll try Congo. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this, but as I found it at my library on Blu-ray, so I thought, I'll check this out. I really didn't like this movie. I thought it was, it's a no. But yeah, some of the acting was good in it. But yeah, Dan, what do you say about Congo?
Yeah, I got another kind of jungle movie on my list that I kind of want to bring up. So, and this one, we already got Kong Skull Island on the list with, Big Ape. And so I'm unfortunately, maybe if this was brought up way earlier, maybe I would have said yes to it. But no, I know Crichton is a great author, and
that's why I started with some of my guilty pleasures.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna say no to Congo.
But yeah, I'm moving on. I'm also between two. One, I think the argument is that it's not really an animal, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to go for this one. If it gets back around me, I'll bring up the other one. But I'm going to go for Piranha 3D. And I think this is look, this is just a lot of fun. Like, you've got Adam Scott in this. I think it's Paul Pullman's in this one as well, isn't he? Or was it Paul Paxton? I'm going to double check that. I think one of the Bulls is in here. But you've got Christopher Lloyd is in there. Jerry O'Connell, Elizabeth Shue. It's just one of those ones that's a really bonkers movie. Actually, neither of the Bulls are in this, so I was wrong on that, both counts. But you've got Richard Dreyfuss pretty much playing Quint in this from Jaws. But yeah, this is just one of those ones that's completely bonkers and really unbelievable, but it's also just a lot of fun, and just the deaths in this are great as well. And I really do like the ending where they're all like, yes, we killed everyone's like, but no, they only just killed the babies. The parents are still out there. Then Adam Scott just gets taken off the boat by this giant piranha that just jumps over. But yeah, it's just really bonkers. It's one that I kind of wish I'd actually seen in 3D. But yeah, Dan, what do you say about Piranha 3D?
I got two things to say about Piranha 3D. Number one, if you had brought up Piranha, the 1978 movie Piranha, I probably would have said yes. But based on the fact that you brought up Piranha 3D, and I have never seen Piranha 3D, it slipped through the cracks, Malcolm. It's one of those movies that I never saw. But I love Piranha, the original 1978 movie. It's a classic. And so unfortunately, Malcolm, for that reason, I have to say no.
But Jordan, what do you say about Piranha 3D?
Well, this is one of the ones because I actually, he's way more of an expert on these than I am. I have seen quite a few, but he's seen like every one ever made, even like the direct to DVD and all those movies. But I just haven't gotten around to seeing Piranha 3D. If I would have had more time, that would have been the very next one that I probably would have watched because he told me to watch it. But I just haven't seen it, so I probably got to say no.
But that Piranha 3D doesn't make the list. Dan, what is the next one you're going to bring up?
Well, I'm going to go back to that one I told Jordan about the jungle, and I'll tell you what, it's got a great cast, and we already got a snake movie on the list, but you can't not have Anaconda on the list if you're going to have an animal attack film.
Yeah,
and this
about Anaconda.
Oh my God, this Anaconda is a absolute. Oh God, it's so scary, and I'm like giants. Just thinking of you hear these stories of giant snakes eating people or people that raise snakes and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden you hear stories that the snake was sizing them up to eat them and stuff like that. It just makes your skin crawl, and this movie is just. It's ridiculous how good this movie is, and you have people like Jennifer Lopez, Jon Voight, Ice Cube in it, Owen Wilson, Eric Stoltz, Danny Trejo. It's got so many great people in it, and it's another one of those movies you say it's a classic animal attack film. You know what I mean? It's just when you think about animal attack movies, this is one that always comes up. People always think about Anaconda, this giant snake, so that's my pick. I don't know if it's going to make the list. We already got a snake movie on the list, but I think it's better than Snakes on a Plane, but that's just my opinion.
But Jordan, what do you say about Anaconda?
Jordan.
Yeah, so I took Anaconda. It is on my list, and I just kind of overlooked it. I probably would have brought this up earlier because I freaking love Anaconda. The first time that I saw this movie was when I was a kid, so I watched it on Halloween night, and like lieu of watching some other horror movie, I got a bunch of friends together, and we all watch Anaconda, and yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. Like Jon Voight and his crazy accent, kind of whatever country he's supposed to be from, and then for me, it's probably my favorite Jennifer Lopez movie. I think she's great in this, and then you throw in Ice Cube, you throw in Owen Wilson, Danny Trejo. Yeah, it's just a really fun. Even Jonathan Hyde that you might know from like Jumanji and stuff. And yeah, it's just a really fun time. And the snake's just in the water somewhere, and like you don't know where it is. And like some of the kills are just brutal, like swallowing people whole, and like yeah, it's just a lot of fun. So yeah, absolutely, I'm gonna say yes, Anaconda.
Yeah, Anaconda is one that I think I've seen back but I just haven't seen it since, and just don't remember if I've seen it or not. So I'm just gonna leave it at this. My Anaconda don't want none if you've got the buns, but I don't have the bun, so I don't want none of Anaconda.
Oh,
But Anaconda does, but it still makes the list regardless, which brings us to 12. And just to recap the 12 we have, we've got Snakes on a Plane, we've got Crawl, we've got Day of the Animals, Jurassic Park, The Edge, Kong Skull Island, Lake Placid, Jaws, Arachnophobia, The Birds, Cujo, and Anaconda.
Right.
Gonna go into some honorable mentions, but for me, some of the honorable mentions that I had Peter Jackson's King Kong 2005, which I think is a better King Kong movie. The one that I wasn't too sure on if it's an animal or an alien, but I know Austin had it in his animal tech things, but I'm still sort of not sold on that. But it's still a good movie. And that's Tremors.
Yeah.
I just didn't bring it up because I wasn't too sure if it's aliens or an animal, a prehistoric animal. I've already mentioned Black Sheep once, and honestly, there isn't much else I would have brought up. Like, eventually, I probably would have gone to the lowest of my list, which is probably Ticks, which is the one I wasn't going to bring up at all. I just wasn't a fan of it. But then, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys, we did pretty good considering everything. I should have said no for Kong Skull Island. That's my fault. But we would have had an extra spot. Another lion movie, Beast, I mentioned. I was going to try to sneak in Beast if we had an extra spot, since we didn't get the Ghost in the Darkness in there, which is a crying shame. A friend of mine brought up a movie I never even heard of called Frogs, which was really good. Supposedly he told me it was Frogs. I already said Piranha, which Malcolm brought up Piranha 3D instead of Piranha. I would have said yes for Piranha, but Malcolm, a movie that I loved as a kid when we used the whole world, Malcolm, where nuclear experiments caused all these different types of things to either grow or whether the giant person, giant woman. Well, one of those is ants, and that's Them. I freaking love Them. I probably would have brought up Them. You guys probably have never seen Them, but I recommend seeing it. It's a movie from the 60s or 50s or whatever it is, because we were in that nuclear era of everything, monsters and things. And Them was a movie that I always loved when I was a kid. So I would have brought up Them if we had some extra spots available. But just The Shallows, another shark movie with Blake Lively, which, oh God, I love The Shallows. We already had Jaws, so I don't know if we were going to get another shark movie on there. A killer whale movie called Orca. When I was a kid, they were trying to capitalize on Jaws, so they did the killer whale movie in the north, the north, like the Arctic Circle or whatever. But from what I heard, slugs, Slither is killer slugs. So I haven't seen Slither, but friends of mine have told me, yeah, that's a good animal attack. It's killer slugs. So there you go. So those are some of the ones I would have had talked about if we had an opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie, Slither's another one that I just wasn't too sure about. Just like Tremors, like if it's an alien or an animal, like it's definitely one of those borderline ones. But Jordan, what's some honorable mentions that you had?
Yeah, like if I could have brought up Slither, like if I would have thought it was a little more of an animal movie, I do love that movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies, but it's not quite an animal per se, but for me, I would have made the case to even have multiple Jurassic Park movies on here. I just didn't want to bring it up because I'm sure I probably would have gotten a no. But like either like The Lost World or Jurassic Park 3, like I'll defend those. Like I think that they're good. Even Jurassic World to an extent. So, but I also had a Deep Blue Sea on there. I think that's another great shark attack movie that we could have had on there. And then not really too much else. Probably Pet Cemetery I would have brought up because of that cat that comes back and goes crazy on him. So, and I always forget the name of that cat. He's got a very unique name in it. But yeah, those are probably my only honorable mentions that I have. Oh,
But with,
Church is his name. Church.
Church. Yeah.
but with that brings us to the actual ranking part of this. And the way how we rank these is we just go around and vote for what we think should go the 12 spot, 11 spot, and so on. We go to write it on a whiteboard and then say it. I've already got sort of mine ready. So for number 12, I've got Kong Skull Island. Dan, what do you thought?
Kong Skull Island.
And Jordan, what did you have for 12?
Give me one quick second because I'm not. I'll go. We'll just tell you since I don't have it written. I'll say snakes on a plane.
But with that, Kong Skull Island is going to be number 12.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good.
But Dan, what do you have for 11?
Snakes on a plane.
Jordan.
Well, I actually switched mine up because I'm not one of those guys that'll just keep the same one the whole time. I think that's a boring ass way to rank them. Don't keep your same one. That's boring to me. But do what you want, really. Who cares what I think? But I'm gonna go with the Edge because I've never seen it. That's why. So.
But I put Day of the Animals, so I've got a 3-way tie.
Ooh.
So I don't. There's 2 people watching, but
Yeah.
chat. Put if either Day of the Animals, Snakes on a Plane, or the Edge for what you think should be at number 11. I am going to get a real ready just in case.
Yeah. And I believe my friend Sarah is tuning in because she was mentioning me about the show, but not commenting. So if you have one, Sarah.
Yeah, I mean, it's on mine. It says there's 2 people watching, so I don't know if Poker Gambit's still around or.
Well, that said, he said in the chat he had to leave, but whoever.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So you never know.
But
I could change mine to animals. The animal, whatever that one, Malcolm. Day of the Animals. I could change mine to that.
I mean, only if you want to, but I've got the wheel set up now. But
the wheel, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I could change mine to day animal. What do you call it? That's fine. I don't have a problem with that, Malcolm.
Well, looks like it wouldn't have mattered anyway because that's what spun on the wheel.
Day of the Animals. All right.
All right. Good. All right.
There you go. Man, this is a tougher decision than I would have thought in animal attack movies because they're all kind of like the same level of guilty pleasure of how much I like them. Kind of, except for one. One's far and away above the rest of them.
Jordan, I think you're up.
But Jordan, what do you have for number 10?
I still have the Edge still. So.
But I also went with the Edge. Dan?
Snakes on a Plane. I didn't change.
Ooh. All right. People might laugh at how high we bring Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah, I definitely like the Edge better than Snakes on a Plane.
Yeah.
But I've got Arachnophobia at 9. Dan, what do you have for 9?
I haven't changed. Snakes on a Plane.
Jordan.
And I went with Crawl. So another 3-way.
Yep.
I mean, I don't mind changing my vote to Snakes on a Plane. Like, I'm not too passionate.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I'm if you want to change it, just can lock it in. Otherwise, I'm finished doing this.
Yeah, let's go with Snakes on a Plane. Yeah, we'll do that. Because that movie is, I mean, it's really not that great. So,
I disagree, but oh well.
Yeah, sure.
Number 9. Because it's actually top 5, but for me. But Dan, what do you have for 8?
Lake Placid.
Jordan.
and I still have Crawl for now.
And I've still got Arachnophobia.
Okay. This time you may want to go to the wheel.
Yep.
Unless anyone in the chat put something. One of those.
I mean, if there was someone in the chat, they would have said something by now. But
Yeah.
just in case, chat Lake Placid, Arachnophobia, or Crawl for number 8. First comment I see is the one that will decide it. Otherwise, I'll get this wheel, which all I do is change one of the options.
Nice. That's bad. Huh. Man, this is way tougher than I thought.
And it is going. No!
What?
Damn it.
Wait,
Lake
what was
Placid.
Lake Placid.
Okay.
Lake Placid.
it? Lake Placid, okay.
That's my number 2.
Oh, dang. Betty White is up in heaven just shaking her head. Come on.
But Jordan, what do you have for number 7?
So, I'm still sticking with it for now. Crawl.
Yeah, I'm still saying for Arachnophobia for now.
Hold on a second. Sorry, Malcolm. I was slow to get to my board, and I'm writing a lot here. So, Arachnophobia.
Ooh, all right.
When you said you're writing a lot, I looked down at what was left. I was like, yeah, it's probably that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Malcolm.
Well, I mean, out of all the movies we got left, it's probably the longest title that's left on the board.
Yeah.
But moving on to 6. I believe it was on me. Actually, then I've got Cujo at 6. Dan
I have Anaconda.
and Jordan.
And I actually switched my vote to Cujo, so.
And Cujo will be 6.
All right.
As my real app decided to play an ad for whatever reason.
Yeah, sometimes the tournament fights will do that once in a blue moon. I don't know, it's weird.
I mean, it wasn't just any ad, it was one that was noisy enough to be annoying.
Yeah, right.
I haven't changed, so I got Anaconda.
Yeah.
All right. And I went back to Crawl.
And I also put Crawl.
Ooh, all right. Now it gets tricky. So, all right. All right.
You're up first, I think, Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here, I got mine here. I went with the birds.
I also went with the birds, Dan.
I never changed. I'm still at Anaconda.
So we only got 3 left right now at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's Jurassic Park, Jaws, and Anaconda. But I've got Anaconda, Dan,
Anaconda still.
and
And
Jordan.
I went with Jaws.
But unfortunately, Anaconda is going to be at 3. I'm not going to lie, I'm surprised it made it this far. But
I'm
it's one
not.
of those ones. Yeah, no, it's one of those ones like I when it comes to ranking, like if I've not seen a movie, I try to avoid voting for it as much as possible.
That movie
But
was my number 2 overall.
but now, instead of going for number 2, we're going straight to number 1 because the other will become number 2 by
Oh
default.
yeah, I forgot about that.
But Dan, what do you have for number 1?
I know I'm the only one that voted for this, but I got Jaws.
Jordan.
Yep, I had to go Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I also went Jurassic Park.
Told you.
Yes.
I knew it. I knew it.
At least you sort of held up Jurassic Park for number 2, Dan, kind of.
Yeah, I'm just annoyed because I don't consider dinosaurs animals, and so that's what.
And
But I
I mean,
also voted for Kong Skull Island, so I have myself to blame. We could have maybe, so I did put a kaiju on there. I just love Kong Skull Island. When you brought it up, I was like,
Yeah.
Skull Island.
Yeah.
I mean, it's look, as I said in the chat, like most of the kaiju movies, they're still giant animals. So I mean, it's still like, well, yes, there is some which are aliens, but most of them are really giant animals. But that being said, that is the end of ranking for this week. But our top 12 we have is at 12 we've got Kong Skull Island, at 11 we've got Day of the Animals, at 10 we've got The Edge, at 9 we've got Snakes on a Plane, at 8 we've got Lake Placid, at 7 we've got Arachnophobia, at 6 we've got Cujo, at 5 we've got Crawl, at 4 we've got The Birds, at 3 we've got Anaconda, at 2 we've got Jaws, and number 1 we've got Jurassic Park.
And nobody brought up Cocaine Bear because that movie was trash. I saw it yesterday.
Well,
and
that's the movie
it
that
sucked.
it inspired this topic. So you can't bring
Yeah.
up the movie that inspired the topic, right, Malcolm?
I mean, I said no rule about. I said no rule that you couldn't.
Actually, I could have, but that movie was
But
weird.
if you did bring it up, Dan, you probably would have got a no from Jordan, and I haven't seen it from me. So
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up. I would never have brought it up. I thought it was good fun. It wasn't trying to be anything serious, Jordan. It was just supposed to be good fun. That's
it's one of those ones like everyone sees movies differently. Like what people's reasons are for not liking a movie is their own, and people shouldn't judge people based on their opinions, but people do anyway.
Yeah.
That's apparently
Just another humor liner for me. I didn't laugh once the whole time. I actually was falling asleep in it. And then I went and saw it.
You're telling me Margot Martindale, the stuff with the ambulance and those goofy idiot guys, that stuff
It was
wasn't
okay.
some fun stuff?
I mean, some fun kills, but
Yeah.
afterwards I went and saw Creed 3, and that movie rocks. Go see Creed 3. That movie was one of the best movies of the last 5 years. I'll just throw
Yeah, I've
that
seen
in
it twice. I've seen it twice already. Yeah.
But anywho,
Go ahead, Malcolm. Go ahead. I know. I apologize, Malcolm.
there.
yeah. Anyway, talking about Creed 3. Next week's topic is going to be a ranking of the Rocky franchise. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. And maybe depending on if everyone on the panel has seen it, I probably will include Creed 3. I know Austin's asked me this last week, but I may even consider including the director's cut of Rocky 4 as its own separate entity. But yeah. Well, exactly. It's going to be a top 10. but it's one of those ones like when it comes to franchises like that, I want to try and include them as much as possible for ranking, but they're just done a little bit differently. But I'll get more into that next week. Yeah,
Malcolm, real quick, you're gonna get close to 12 eventually here pretty soon because they're doing a Drago spinoff, and you know you're gonna get a Creed 4. So you could probably do a rank them in a year or two, because I think you're gonna get 12.
12, yeah. Yep.
Go ahead.
I mean, I've not heard anything about a Drago spinoff or a Creed 4, but
I've heard rumors. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like I don't put stock in rumors when it comes to movies unless they're officially announced.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's one of those ones like Creed 3 is going to make money.
Yeah.
It's probably going. They're probably going to do another one, and then they'll probably go into another one where it follows Creed training someone else. But there's a lot of
last
things.
one is they're going to have a fourth one. It's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But regardless, we can talk about this at another time. But it's the end of ranking for today. But Dan, we can be for you online.
Oh, you can always find me at Dan Skipbound on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Letterboxd, whatever, or from the fourth row, or DP Skipbound or whatever. Also, I'm a film critic. You see it right there, film critic at fromthefourthrow.com. Also, I'm a film critic at disappointmentmedia.com. Also, with this guy right here from Down Under, the man from New Zealand, we do a show called Gone with the Wind, where we talk about award shows. So if you're interested, if you're watching this and you want to reach out to us and want to come on Gone with the Wind, let Malcolm or me know. Also, I'm also a frequent collaborator on Gone with the Wind is Dylan and Chad, I did 2 episodes of Picture This with those guys, 1974 and 1972, which are the Godfather years, and we still have one left, 1990, and we'll be doing that in April.
But with that, about Jordan, we can be for you online.
Well, I'll just make it quick because I usually have a big list of stuff to promote. But
you're cutting out a little bit, Jordan.
Can you go that? Of course. So hopefully
you're
hold up.
You're fine now.
Trivia after this. Okay, yeah, because I'm gonna maybe try to do a quick reset before trivia because we're doing trivia after this, which I'll promote that. We're doing the Seen and Heard movie trivia. It's on our Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/moviehero, we have trivia. What we're gonna do though, we're gonna have it live on YouTube, so if you can catch it live in about an hour from now or an hour and a half or so, that you can see it for free. Otherwise, it just costs $1 on the Patreon. I made it as cheap as I could because it has some copyright stuff that probably YouTube wouldn't be okay if it's sat there long term. So we'll have to move it over there, but you can catch it for free in a little bit. And then also, I was just talking about that we did best movie duos just a couple of days ago that Malcolm actually made the tournament bracket for it, and it was a lot of fun. So go check that out. If you want to see
No. Yeah, I think Jordan's done. But what I think what he was trying to say in that is that this week there will be a letter series on 2014 movies, and my top 128, which is coming up next Sunday, which will be after Rankum as well. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you could try to promote in that time, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
but yeah, I'm just going over to my plugs, and yeah. So, but for me, you can find me sort of on the Movie Hero Network, appearing from time to time. You can find me on Take Three Productions host Rankum every Sunday. it will be a little bit of an earlier time next week, just because of the Oscars. Two, I've got another show sort of later that night in you as well. And you can also find me hosting trivia this week. Got Andy Sedaris movies coming up tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then we've got A24 Horror coming up this week. And yeah, you can find me wherever trivia, tournaments, ranking stuff is happening. But until tomorrow, actually, when we do Gone with the Wind, see you next time. But yeah,
And thanks to you, that's over now, and you've ruined that for me.